3 spine-chilling school horror stories, unexplained secrets revealed from haunted classrooms in the quiet suburban town of Maplewood, whispers of terror seep through the walls of Willow Creek High School, where students brush against the shadows of things that should never linger. Emma, a sophomore, finds herself navigating the day-to-day pressures of fitting in, while eerie occurrences envelop her life as the night descends. Late-night study sessions with her best friend, Luca, start turning from tedious mnemonic warfare into something nightmarish. Flickering lights and sinister whispers echo through the empty hallways, the walls seeming to breathe her name like a solemn curse. "Did you hear that?" Emma's voice trembles as a chill crawls up her spine. "It's probably just the wind," Luca attempts to soothe her, but both know there's something unsettling. The anxiety is palpable. This tightness in her chest feels like a clamp, fear inches closer each time the lights dim. With every flicker, every low hum of a whisper, dread begins to weave itself into their familiar world. But the true horror starts when Emma stumbles across old articles in a dusty corner of the school's library. She discovers the haunting tale of Mrs. Whitman, a beloved teacher who vanished decades ago, leaving behind letters fraught with unsettling reflections of her students' darkest fears. What if she never left? Emma wonders, feeling the weight of the shadows creeping around them. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Emma digs deeper, the ghostly whispers claw at her, echoing her insecurities about life. Staring at those old, yellowed letters sends a shiver through her. The letters reflect worries about grades, friendships, and the relentless push to be perfect. Each syllable pulls the memories of her family's struggles and mounting pressure like a noose, trapping her deeper into despair. The nights of whispered secrets grow more intense. Lights flicker and sync with her frayed nerves. Shadows creep into the corners of the room, sometimes brimming into reality, making both Emma and Luca question what fear is truly lurking just beyond their reach. Dread becomes a familiar companion, tightening its grip around their hearts. But that tension explodes one fateful evening when they hear a voice, faint and beckoning, calling for help. Emma's hands tremble over the keyboard, icy sweat pooling small beneath the fluorescent lights. They know they must confront the heart of this mystery, and as they journey deeper into the school's darkened corridors, every footstep seems a thread unspooling. It soon becomes clear that some faculty members may carry dangerous secrets connected to Mrs. Whitman's disappearance. Surrounded by shifting shadows, Emma grasps Luca's arm, terror simmering just beneath the surface. As they approach the source of the voice, the walls themselves seem to pulse and warn them to retreat. The air thickens, heavier than before, and betrayal lingers like a deformity of fist-clenching horror. In this instant, as they stand immersed in uncertainty, Emma's heart races. It's a confrontation that could unravel everything she once knew, exposing the sanctuary of her school as a malevolent entity that thrives on despair. The flickering lights plunge them into darkness, suffocating their hope. Will they face the truth about the spectre's true intentions? Or will they, too, become part of the chilling history of Willow Creek High? As dread engulfs them, one question lingers: can Emma escape the malevolence lurking in the shadows, or will her fears consume her? The unsettling quiet of the hallway magnified the racing beats of Emma's heart. Shadows loomed and danced along the walls, taunting her as they flickered and twisted in the dim light. She turned, staring into the hollow blackness that waited just beyond the reach of the sad, flickering bulbs. "Luca, we can't just stand here," she whispered, fear choking her voice. The shadows seemed to listen, slithering closer, hungry for their dread. But the soft voice continued to call out from the darkness, more persistent now, pulling at Emma like an unseen current. "Do you hear it?" Luca clutched her hand tightly. His eyes were wide, glistening with both fear and a determination that Emma wished she shared. "It's coming from the old science lab." "Why there?" Her instinct screamed for them to turn back, that this hole they were digging could lead them straight to a nightmare. Yet something deeper, more raw, compelled her forward. Who was calling for help? Was it Mrs. Whitman, or something far more sinister? With each step toward the lab, the air thickened, a tangible pressure settling into their chests. As they neared the heavy door, a low thrum vibrated through the air, sending shivers cascading down Emma's spine. She exchanged a glance with Luca. His eyes conveyed a mixture of excitement and horror. Together, they pushed the door open slowly, the creaking hinges emitting a mournful screech, as if warning them to stay away. Inside, the space was bathed in shadows. Old desks lay overturned, scientific equipment lay broken, and dust hung in the air like the memories of lost hopes. But none of those grotesque remnants mattered when Emma caught sight of the flicker. In the far corner, beneath shattered fluorescent lights that still managed to flicker dimly, was a figure. A woman. Her face hidden in shadow, only the glint of despair glimmered in her eyes. "Help me," the voice trembled, echoing off the walls, sharp like shattering glass. The room felt colder, and goosebumps broke over Emma's skin. "Help me before it's too late." "Is it her?" Luca muttered, scanning the room as if expecting something to leap out. "Should we trust her?" A knot twisted in Emma's gut. What if she southed the reason this place is haunted? What if she is trying to lure us? "I don't know." "But she needs help," Luca insisted, stepping closer. He moved forward before Emma could catch him. "No! Don't!" Emma's warning was drowned by the sudden crashing of the door behind them, a force so powerful it rattled the very bones of the building. She spun around, her heart exploding against her rib cage. The darkness outside the lab seemed alive now, writhing beyond the cracks of the door. "What was that?" Luca gasped, his eyes darting back to the figure. "We need to go." "No!" Emma cried, feeling a magnetic pull toward the shadowy woman. She is scared. "We can't just leave her." The room felt oppressive, a clenching fist around her throat. The woman raised her hand, beckoning, and Emma's feet moved against her will. The shadows in the corners began to shift, forming into grotesque shapes that whispered her name in dark harmony. The air thickened, each breath becoming harder to catch. "Emma! Emma, run!" Luca shouted, but the words slid past her, muffled in the chaos of adrenaline and brewing darkness. "Help me," came the whisper again, clearer this time, almost seductive in its haunting plea. As Emma took a step forward, she felt the ground beneath her shake. The walls seemed to pulse, and for one terrifying second she understood what it meant to be haunted, to be trapped in a cycle of despair without hope of escape. Before they could retreat, the lights exploded, plunging them into the abyss. An overwhelming presence crashed into her, and Emma was swallowed whole, lost in shadows that whispered secrets left unspoken. What lay in the depths of that darkness? What truths would awaken if she dared to confront her deepest fear? The answer lurked behind whispered secrets and shadowed corners, hungry for more. Would Emma and Luca discover the horrors waiting to be unveiled, or would they forever remain another set of lost souls in Willow Creek High? Emma felt the cold grip of darkness closing in around her. Whispers rolled over her like a sinister fog, eerie syllables that morphed into words just out of reach, a language twisted and guttural. Her heart raced as she instinctively looked for Luca, but he was gone. Panic surged through her. She called his name, but the sound was swallowed by the weight of the shadows. "Luca!" she screamed, voice tightening with fear. The only response was a low, mocking chuckle that erupted from the corners, echoing off the peeling walls. The shadowy woman stood at the heart of the chaos, her arms extended, seeming both inviting and threatening. "Help me!" The words clung to the air, thick like smoke, beckoning Emma closer, deeper into the darkness. In her mind, a thread of logic struggled against the weight of terror. Was rescuing her worth the risk? Or was this a trap, spun from the very material of nightmares? With a deep breath, she took a step backward. "No! I can't!" But the shadows surged forward. She staggered, fighting against an unseen force that pulled her toward the woman. As Emma wrestled against the darkness, she finally spotted Luca a few yards away, his silhouette barely distinguished against a backdrop of swirling black. "Emma? Get away from her!" he shouted, eyes wide with desperation. The shadows twisted, threatening to engulf them both, and Emma's heart plummeted. She saw Luca take a step toward her, his expression a mix of fear and determination. "Luca, help!" Just then, the lights flickered back to life, flooding the room with a sickly fluorescent glow. The woman's face, now illuminated, held an unfathomable sorrow. Deep lines of desperation etched her features. Eyes wide and wild, they stared straight into Emma's soul. "Please, you must listen." The woman's voice cracked like ice under the pressure. "She cannot escape. I couldn't save them. You must save yourselves." Before Emma could process the words, the temperature plunged. A cacophony of anguished wails erupted from the shadows, drowning out logic and instinct. Luca's face twisted with horror as the wails morphed into cries of echoing children. "Emma! We have to go! Now!" But the moment hung thick with suspense, and horror twisted around them like a slow suffocation. The woman's gaze never wavered, urgent, pleading. "You must help me break the curse, before it consumes you." Emma felt her resolve waver. The promise of escape tumbled through her mind, but the weight of the shadows wrapped tighter. She recalled whispers of the school as history, rumors of tragedies that unfolded in these halls, of students lost, of lives extinguished. What if this woman held the key to it all? As she hesitated, the shadows thrashed and surged closer, gnarled hands reaching for her. The lights flickered again, dimming just enough for Emma to see flashes of a chaotic past, a classroom filled with laughter, a closet where dreams were hung and then shattered. The air crackled with energy as the shadows began to manifest, taking the shapes of tormented figures, reaching out, their eyes vacant and hollow. "Help us, we're trapped," they murmured, merging into a haunting symphony of despair. I need to know more," Emma choked out, almost against her will. "Help me!" the woman shrieked, her voice laced with desperation. "Help us!" Luca pulled at her arm, sweat beading on his forehead. "This isn't right. We can't help them, they'll drag us down. We need to escape." As the oppressive shadows loomed ever closer, now a swirling tempest ready to devour them, Emma felt a palpable shift in the air. The woman's haunted eyes now held a fierce glint. "You can't run from your fears," she said. "Embrace them, confront the darkness." And just as she spoke those words, the very room began to decay, dissolving around them in a whirlwind of panic and despair. The whispers grew louder, rising in a frantic tempo that clawed at the edges of Emma's mind. What awaited on the other side of fear? What revelations lay locked within this suffocating abyss? Would they finally uncover the horrific secrets that bound this place, or would the shadows claim them forever? The ground trembled violently as they stood at the precipice of the unknown, and in that breathless moment, Emma understood that the true battle was only just beginning. The shadows twisted and danced as if alive, and with each pulse, Emma felt the room shift beneath her. Walls warped like rubber, and the ceiling, once a refuge, now pressed down with a malicious intent. She fought against the shadows, desperate to cling to the last remnants of sanity, but the powerful grip only tightened. "Emma, we need to go." Luca's voice sliced through the thick haze of despair. She turned toward him, but he stood in place, locked in a struggle of his own. His lips moved, but the wails around them drowned out his words. Panic gripped her. "Luca! Don't move!" he screamed, a bead of sweat glistening on his brow. It hung there, suspended, as if the world paused for breath. But the shadows surged ahead. She could see frightened shapes forming behind them, grasping, clawing. "Listen to her," the woman insisted, her voice rising above the chaos. "You don't understand." "Understand what?" Emma shouted back. "What are you? What do you want from us?" The woman's sorrowful visage twisted, revealing glimpses of torment, her long-forgotten children woven into the fabric of her mangled reality. "I am bound to this place, to their cries. They can't rest until the truth is uncovered. You must." Suddenly, a shadowy figure lunged at Emma. She stumbled back, colliding with Luca as the air thickened. He reached out to steady her, but his grip felt cold, almost lifeless. "Emma!" he urged, his voice hoarse. If we don't get out of here! A rumbling echoed, an ominous growl that rumbled through the dilapidated hall. The woman's eyes widened, desperate. Do not let fear consume you. Fight with your memories. They're your anchor. Memories. Her mind flickered like the lighting. Joyful laughter mingled with sorrow. Faces blurred, all those she lost. A family picnic, her father's smiling face, a car crash. She could feel the weight of their absence. Suddenly, reality spun, and a figure loomed in front of her. The childlike shadow, a little girl with hollow eyes and a vacant smile, reached out. Help us! It chimed like a ghostly lullaby. Emma's heart thundered, merging with the rhythm of the wailing echoes. She felt their pain, a terror so raw, it clutched at her chest. Luca! She cried, watching as he staggered back, fear etched deep on his face. We can't leave them! We have to help! The shadows shrieked, rising in a chaotic swirl. The air turned cold, icy fingers piercing her skin. The woman's voice became a frantic whisper, barely discernible over the horror. The secret lies within the memories. Remind them, show them. Then, with a sudden jolt, everything snapped into focus. A flash of light illuminated the expanse, painting over the chaos with a harsh clarity. Emma was back in the classroom. Bright, warm. Her classmates laughed, desks cluttered with colors. A little girl, one she recognized, sat beside her, a radiant smile illuminating her face. But the laughter quickly warped, blending with cries and gasps that suffocated the joy. Emma looked around. Shadows encroached on the classroom, slowly twisting reality once again. I have to confront it. I must confront the truth. She thought fiercely, feeling the power of the memories surging within her. The child's ghostly figure contorted, and Emma stepped forward against the pull of dread. It's okay. You're safe, she yelled, tapping into the warmth of her laughter. It spread through the shadows, pushing them back, shrinking their visceral grasp, if only for a moment. With every ounce of strength left, Emma stepped into the flow of emotion, summoning hope. I remember you, I won't forget. But then the ground shook violently, and the shadows retaliated fiercely, a tide of anger crashing over her resolve. You can't fight us! They howled, their whispers creeping back toward her. And then she saw it, the broken pieces of a memory she had buried. Connections shattered, and she felt eyes on her from every corner. What was it? What did I forget? Luca struggled against the encroaching tide. Emma! It's all too much. No! I have to remember! She cried, her voice drowning in the cacophony. Shadows writhed, rekindling the whispers of secrets unspoken. She grasped tightly onto Luca's arm, refusing to let go, as darkness threatened to envelop them. But in the depths of despair, the flicker of an answer ignited within her. Was it love? Sacrifice? Pain? Help us! The shadows echoed. Could she face the truth, unlock the horrors binding them to this place? Or would she, too, be dragged into the void, lost forever among the whispers? As the shadows lunged forward, retreating no more, Emma braced herself for an answer that could either save them or destroy them. And in that breathless moment, reality hung in the balance. What secret clung desperately to the fabric of this darkness? The ultimate revelation lay just beyond her grasp, but at what price? The ground trembled beneath her, an unsettling reminder of the forces at play. Emma could barely stay on her feet. Luca, hold on! She shouted, feeling the anchors of her spirit dragging her down into the abyss. The shadows pulsed with malevolence, seemingly alive, inhaling her fear as they surged even closer. Emma? It's too late. Luca's voice, strained and desperate, echoed in her ears. We have to run. But her heart pulled her in the opposite direction. The little girl with hollow eyes stood frozen in the chaos. Help us! The words pierced her like a knife. Emma's mind raced. This wasn't just a fight for their lives, it was a plea for compassion. What had this child experienced? Wait! Emma called to Luca, her voice barely breaking above the shadows' terrible chorus. What if we bring them the truth? What if Emma? His words were sharp, filled with panic. You don't know what you're saying. But she did. She could feel the weight of that memory she was grappling with. It clung to her like a shroud. It was painful and raw, but she had felt something in that split second of clarity, something important hidden behind the wall of terror. And perhaps, if she faced it directly, she might rupture the chains binding this wretched soul and others. Emma stepped closer to the little girl, determination hardening in her chest. You were part of something beautiful. I remember, you laughed with me. You were my friend. Stop. The shadows shrieked, voices intertwining in a cacophony of dread. You can't reach her. Luca stumbled back, his resolute stand faltering as terror flickered across his features. We have to go. No, I have to stay. Emma yelled, her eyes fixed on the child, whose expression darkened into despair. Emma could feel her heart racing. She needed to unveil the memory. Tell me, she shouted, drowning out the shadows with her conviction. Just tell me what happened. Suddenly, the room twisted violently again, mirroring the upheaval within her. Searing pain shot through her head as images flooded back bruised faces and whispered fears. The little girl wavered, her shadows trembling under the weight of Emma's unveiling. Diana, the child whispered. The name reverberated between them, a powerful bond reinforcing their connection. The room began to flicker with light, drawing back the veil of darkness just enough for Emma to glimpse the truth. I remember you, she pressed, forcing the name to the surface. You were taken too soon. But you deserve to be free. A deep wail erupted from the shadows, shuddering through the air like a deadly storm brewing for destruction. You're awakening them. Stop. They howled, trying to drown out Emma's voice, but she refused to yield. Diana, I see you. You're not lost. What happened to you? Tears streamed down her face, fueled by a raw mixture of sadness and determination. The shadows pulsed violently, but at that moment a tender glow ignited in Diana's eyes. Help us please, the girl managed to say, her voice a fragile ghost. As memories loomed larger, a delicate balance began to shift. Emma's emotions surged as the horrific scenes flashed before her, fractured laughter split by turmoil, a betrayal lurking behind closed doors. She felt the pain of every child silenced by sorrow. But with each piece she uncovered, the grip of the shadows tightened around her and Luca. Emma? He pleaded, tugging at her arm. We can't hold on much longer. In the eye of the storm, Emma felt the truth pulsating within her. Memories, like shards of shattered glass, glimmered with the potential to heal or harm. If the memories could surge forth, perhaps it could shatter the malevolence around them. But as she let the emotions build, the shadows hissed, angry and desperate. You're meddling with forces beyond understanding. With every ounce of her strength, Emma took a step forward, ready to confront the darkness. I am not afraid, she declared, and the shadows recoiled for an instant. But that moment would not last. They were ready to strike back. What if it consumes you? A rasping voice urged, slithering through her resolve. She hesitated. Doubt lingering. What if I save them? Only silence answered her. And as the shadows tightened around them, Emma felt that the answer lay just beyond her grasp. In that heartbeat, as the room thrummed with anticipation, she leaned into the memories she hoped would reveal the terrifying truth. Would they free the forgotten souls or seal their fate forever? The choice lay before her, but so did the darkness, waiting. Would she become a savior, or a prisoner of her own fears? The shadows surged forward, a violent wave hungry for the light Emma had dared to invoke. It clawed at the edges of her vision, a feral force seeking to drag her into an endless void. Luca's grip tightened on her arm, desperation coursing through his fingers. Emma's heart raced, the drumbeats matching the unsettling rhythm of the darkness. Emma, please! He shouted, his voice barely cutting through the fury around them. You're risking everything. But in that chaotic moment, her thoughts were suffocated by fear and clarity intertwining. Diana, this fragile spirit, had become a beacon, and Emma couldn't abandon the hope of liberation. The girl's light flickered as the shadows recoiled, the two forces clashing in a frenzy of blinding agony. Diana! Emma cried, feeling tears stitch her resolve. Tell me what you need. I'm here to help. Diana's eyes flared with a haunting mix of gratitude and despair. The doors, they hold the truth, she whispered, her voice transcending the storm, crisp and clear amid the suffocating fog. But the shadows shrieked, an echoing cry that rattled the walls. No! She'll unleash them. Don't listen! They twisted and snarled, the flickering chaos threatening to swallow Emma whole. Digging her heels in, Emma pressed forward, forcing herself to breathe. What doors, Diana? What truth? The memories are kept inside. Behind them lies our past. The pain they caused, you can break it. A sudden crack sounded, reverberating through the chaos, followed by a screech. Emma blinked, and before her emerged a set of doors, primordial in their simplicity, each bearing a name, each tethered to a memory long shackled in darkness. Luca! She gasped, realizing they had manifested just as the urgency grew relentless. We have to open them. We have to face what's inside. He shook his head vehemently, the fear twisting his features. Emma, we can't. You don't know what's waiting behind those doors. What if it's worse? A shiver slithered through her spine, his words chilling her blood. What if it was worse? But she felt the whispers of the forgotten souls, held tight by the darkness. They had to be freed. Deep down, Emma knew she couldn't turn away, not now. Together then, she gripped his arm, heart racing as she took a step toward the nearest door. We'll do it together. The shadows hissed, raging against their unity, but an inexplicable warmth enveloped Emma, filling her with courage. On 3! She called. 1, 2, 3! The door creaked ominously as they pushed against it. Dust and memories burst forth, suffocating the silence as a breath of long-lost laughter echoed back at them. Images flickered, a classroom filled with light, crayon drawings plastered on the walls, children bustling with laughter that faded to whispers. With each memory, another shard of dread broke away, stinging at unknown vulnerabilities. Suddenly, a chilling laugh erupted from the void beyond, an echo of betrayal that sent chills down Emma's spine. Fools! You've opened a door you can't close. The shadows twisted and howled, thundering forward in a frenzy to reclaim what they had lost. Emma? Luca screamed, his face twisted in panic as they were dragged back. She struggled against the pull, reaching for the warmth that Diana's spirit offered. Hold on, Luca! We can fight it! Tension crackled as memories collided violently, and from the depths of the darkness, figures emerged, horrific, distorted shapes of the children who had once filled this place with joy. Their hollow eyes bore into Emma's soul, a chilling realization dawning. They were trapped just as Diana had been. Carving through the haze, Emma felt a powerful surge of determination. She wasn't calling forth the past, she was battling against it. You're trapped here, just like Diana. You can break free! She shouted into the spiral of wailing voices as the shadows clawed at her flesh, eating away at the light. But would they listen? As despair gripped her heart, she fought against the torment. What if she couldn't save them? And as the shadows encroached further, she felt the grip of the unknown tightening. Emma? Luca's scream snapped her focus. We need to go now. But the weight of their choice was heavy, and panic seeped deeper. No! We need to save them! She felt the flicker of her resolve wavering as she faced her growing fear. Would her courage ignite a spark of freedom, or would it invoke a terror that consumed them both? As the darkness surged in one last attempt, Emma heard whispers melding into a singular plea, a haunting echo lingering just beyond her grasp. Help us in that throbbing moment, just as the shadows reached for the last remnants of light. Her decision loomed. Would she break, or be broken? The phrase instinctively clawed at her chest. Maybe she was inviting destruction with every breath. But what if this was just the beginning? The room erupted into chaos. Shadows twisted and danced, swirling like a tempest. Emma's heart pounded in tandem with the creature's roar, a cacophony of distorted whispers drowning out reason. Their attempts to free the trapped souls had unleashed more than they bargained for. The air crackled, thick with oppressive dread. Emma felt Luca's breath quicken beside her. We need to run! He gasped, panic crystallizing his voice. But the resonance of their screams echoed unceasingly, binding them to the moment, rendering escape impossible. Wait! Emma's voice sliced through the noise, steely with conviction. She grasped the doorframe, the rough wood scratching at her palm. Diana needs us. They all do. We can't leave them. The shadows recoiled momentarily, their fury undulating like a living thing. She could feel the memories locked within the walls, suffocating and pleading. Emma's pulse quickened, her determination surged, fueled by the flickering remnants of Diana's light. Tell me what to do, she cried, her voice rising above the turmoil. What's next? A shiver ran through the air. Diana's spirit emanated a fragile glow, signaling urgency, desperation. The names speak the name. That's what binds them. Each word pierced through the cacophony, igniting a spark of understanding in Emma's mind. The names on the doors, they were not random. They held power, a connection to the memories of those lost. Luca, help me! Emma's grip on his arm tightened. We have to shout their names together. It's the only way. He hesitated, eyes darting between her and the coiling shadows. But Emma pressed forth, a stray tear tracing her cheek. We can't leave them trapped. They deserve to be free. The darkness writhed, sensing her awakening resolve. Fear and courage blazed within her, overlapping yet distinct. She turned to the nearest door marked Grace, every fiber of her being surging to break the cycle. Grace! She shouted, her voice reverberating loudly. You're not alone. We're here to help you. The shadows screeched, their grasp on Emma and Luca wavering as they recoiled. Whispers grew louder, forming into semblances of forgotten laughter intertwined with anguished cries. Grace! She repeated, this time with unyielding strength. Come forth and be freed. Luca joined her, his voice merging with hers. Grace! In a surge of light, the doors shook violently. The shadows howled in distress, and an ethereal figure emerged, bathed in glowing warmth. Grace's spirit, delicate and radiant, materialized with gratitude etched across her translucent features. Thank you, she whispered, her lips barely moving, yet the sound echoed in their hearts. But before Emma and Luca could fully comprehend their victory, the pressure of the shadows intensified. They now felt a palpable hunger, rage boiling over like a fierce storm. The shrieks morphed, darkness swirling like a vortex around them. Luca staggered back, gripping his head. Emma? What have we done? They're angrier than before. Keep going, she urged, fear electrifying her resolve. We can't stop now. The next door loomed, marked Ryan. Emma fought against the pulsating dread. Ryan! She called, her voice rising above the tempest, a lifeline in the storm. But the walls trembled, the darkness hissed, a feral growl that tugged at their very essence. Emma could feel its breath on her neck, icy and insidious. Why are you calling them? The shadows taunted, a chorus of voices like knives to her psyche. You think they will thank you? They're ours. They won to leave. Emma clamped her fist shut, trembling against the sinister whispers. She could see the flickering forms behind the doors, a phantasmagoria of hope and despair battling inside. Ryan! She shouted again. You are not forgotten! But just as she began to feel a wave of strength surging back, a new howl rattled the foundations of the room, sending both her and Luca spiraling in terror. The wailing of the shadows escalated, a chorus of fury unleashed upon them, unleashed by their defiance. Luca's face was pale with dread. Emma? What if we can't save them all? What if it gets worse? A gnawing feeling settled in Emma's stomach as she eyed the next door. Sophie. Each name was another gamble, another chance to unleash unspeakable horrors, or perhaps, just perhaps, a way to reclaim what was lost. Could the power of memories offer salvation, or would it plunge them deeper into madness? Sophie! The word rushed from her lips, unrelenting, echoing into the depths of the dark. As the shadows lunged forward, Emma braced herself. A dreadful revelation washed over her, freedom might not only cost her everything but unravel more than they could ever anticipate. Where would this path lead them now? The howl of the shadows sliced through the air, an almost tangible thing saturating the space with sheer terror. Emma's voice trembled, but didn't falter. "Sophie!" Her desperate call echoed, ricocheting off the walls, weaving through the malevolence. The darkness closed in, whispering poisonous lies that seeped into her mind. "They don't want you," it sneered. "Only chains can bind them." "And you," it hissed with unnatural glee, "you are the key." Emma shivered but held her ground. "We're not here to hurt them. We want to help." Yet the shadows didn't care. They pressed closer, sinister tendrils snaking around their ankles, trying to pull them down into the suffocating dark. Luca's breathing quickened, every gasp struggling against the oppressive force latching onto him. "Emma, we need to go. We're not meant for this." A flash of light flickered from within the door marked Sophie, feeling like a beacon amid the swirling black chaos. "Sophie! You have to fight!" Emma shouted, driven by urgency, coaxing hope from the depths of her heart. The door trembled, responding to her call. But the shadows were relentless, shrieking in protest, twisting Emma's courage into fear. With every second, she felt their icy touch creeping closer, trying to extinguish the light she hoped to ignite in Sophie. Then she saw a glimpse of something pale behind the door, an ephemeral shimmer that made her pulse race. "Please, Sophie," she implored, her voice slicing through the sound of anguish. "Come, you are not forgotten!" Luca squashed the strangling fear within him. Together he breathed, and he joined her. "Sophie!" The room convulsed. The shadows shrieked louder, a cacophony that clawed at their sanity. Darkness thrashed like a wounded beast, but a moment later, a figure coalesced from the light spilling out of the door. Sophie emerged, a wisp of a girl with eyes wide in disbelief. "Help me," she murmured, but the shadows surged forward, latching onto her essence. Emma reached out, desperate to pull her free. "Fight, Sophie! Fight them!" Emma commanded, but Sophie's spirit flickered, caught between two worlds, imprisoned in her own torment. Luca's voice wavered, thick with panic. "They're trying to take her back." "Sophie!" Emma screamed again, drowning out the shadows' cries. "You belong with the living. You deserve to be free." In that moment, Sophie's eyes turned fierce, a flash of remembering life before death. "I don't want to go back." With those words, the air shifted. The tendrils that clung to her gut recoiled, hissing in fury, but the push of light was undeniable. Yet just as Sophie sprang free, the shadows unleashed a final, ear-piercing wail of wrath. Emma felt the dark desperation twist around her like a vice, squeezing tightly, making it hard to breathe. The weight of so many souls writhing in anguish crashed over her in waves. "Get her out!" Luca cried, pulling at Sophie's ethereal form, but the darkness was fighting back, clawing at their connection. Then Emma sensed a slipstream of raw energy that intertwined with their shouts. The names were more than mere words. They were lifelines binding the lost to the living. Her heart hammered as she shot a glance at the door marked Michael. "Michael!" she cried, directing her energy, her will toward the door, hoping to break the encroaching malice. As she called, the shadows shrieked, ripping through the air in their frenzy. Luca's eyes widened. "Emma? It's too much." But she didn't stop. Each name was a bullet, each shout a possible salvation, both the weight of memories and the hope of release. "Michael!" she screamed, unstoppable. Then, a blinding flash erupted as the door buckled under the strain. The shadows convulsed, its form becoming chaotic, but Emma sensed a different energy rising. It crackled and danced as if they had plunged into a storm, dread in its eye, loss in its heart, and power beyond reckoning. The next instant, darkness exploded outward, summoning a howling maelstrom. Emma's world twisted in that blinding light, and she now faced the greatest truth of all: the choices they had made were just beginning to unfold. But who or what would emerge next from the dark? The storm raged on, and within, a new hunt began. The light sliced through the shadows like a knife, illuminating the chaos that surrounded them. Emma felt the energy crackling in the air, weaving between her fingers. She clutched Sophie tighter, the girl's ethereal form glowing with fierce defiance. Yet the shadows were relentless. They twisted and writhed, desperate to reclaim what they had lost. Emma's heart raced, each beat anchoring her resolve. She could hear their whispers now, a sinister orchestra of regret and rage. "You're playing a dangerous game, girl," they hissed, swirling around her like a storm of malevolence. "Fight," Emma urged Sophie, her voice raw with urgency. "You have the strength," but Sophie faltered. The shadows reached for her, their voices wrapping around her mind, sowing seeds of doubt. "You want to survive," they crooned. "You belong to us. You know it. Don't listen to them." Emma screamed over the cacophony, her heart pounding as shadows clawed at her ankles, dragging her toward the abyss. Luca was beside her, his eyes wide with terror, his hand clutching Sophie's arm with the strength of a lifeline. "Emma, we can't hold," he started, but the shadows surged again, a tide of darkness that threatened to pull them all under. With a sudden flash, the door labeled Michael burst open. A figure emerged, a shadow of a man with hollow eyes that glimmered in the light. The storm stilled for a moment, the dark tendrils retreating slightly as if afraid. "No!" Emma gasped, feeling a chill claw up her spine. This wasn't the answer they sought. "Michael," Sophie whispered, drawn to him. The name slipped from her lips like a secret, filled with longing. "Come home, Sophie," the figure beckoned, his voice smooth as silk and just as deadly. "You're not meant to be here. Join me." Panic surged in Emma's chest. "No! He's lying. They all are." The shadows rumbled, anger boiling, but Michael remained steady, his presence demanding. Luca stumbled back. "Emma? We can't lose her again." The shadows shrieked anew, their fury exploding, but Michael stood unfazed. He reached towards Sophie with a shadowy hand, pulling her closer. "You know where you belong." Emma fought against the shadows encasing her in darkness. "Sophie, fight." In that moment, everything shifted again. Sophie's eyes lit, not with fear, but with an emboldened spirit. "No!" she cried, shaking her head violently. "I want to go back." With those words, the darkness recoiled like a wounded creature. The shadows twisted wildly, shrieking in rage. The walls around them began to tremble, dust raining down like ashes in the wake of a dying fire. "Sophie, hold on!" Emma shouted, every fiber of her being focused on holding the light. She felt the crackling energy surge again, a storm of hope that smashed against the darkness. But then came the chilling echo of laughter, malevolent and cruel. "What have you done?" Michael's voice dripped with venom. "You think you can simply choose?" And suddenly, he was no longer just a shadow. The figure morphed, shifting into something grotesque and terrifying. The laughter turned into howls, ripping through the air, and for a moment, Emma felt a tugging sensation at the very core of her being, a bond trying to sever. "Emma!" Luca yelled, panic-stricken. "We need to go. Now!" But Emma couldn't move. Fear anchored her like a heavy chain. The shadows lashed out, frantically trying to pull back Sophie into their clutches. Everything began to spiral. Her vision blurred, and as she gasped for breath, a memory flashed, a glimpse of laughter, of shared secrets, in the sunlight. A light that pierces through the darkest of nights. "Remember who you are!" she cried out, desperate now. The shadows faltered for a moment. And then the howls turned into a deafening roar. In the chaos, a new figure emerged from the storm, born of shadows and light. Their intentions remained unclear, but one question echoed through Emma's mind: who had truly come to save them, and at what cost? The storm continued to rage, and the hunt was far from over. The whirlwind of chaos battled against Emma's resolve, darkness twisting as fear and desperation clawed at her. She clung to Sophie, feeling warmth flickering against the shadow's icy grip. "Stay with me," she urged, squeezing the girl's hand. Suddenly, the shadows wove tighter around them, thrumming with anger. "You cannot save them," a voice howled, grotesque and powerful. "You are merely a child, lost in a game that spans the ages." "No!" Emma shouted, tilting her chin up defiantly. I see you. You hide behind pain, but I won't let you take her. With every ounce of willpower, Emma reached deeper into her memories. Moments of joy flickered before her eyes, laughter with her family, her friends' support, each feeling a potent beam in the encroaching darkness. Focusing on these memories, she felt the warmth radiate from her heart. Diana, Grace, Ryan, Sophie. You deserve to be free. The names rang through the storm like bolts of light. Emma felt the shadows recoil, hissing and shrieking. Together. She called to Luca, pulling him close again. We have to remember them all. Luca nodded, his eyes fierce with determination. Sophie! He cried, you're not lost. You're never lost. The shadows writhed and howled, their hold breaking as the names filled the void. Emma raised her voice. Michael! She screamed, the opening of fear igniting like wildfire. You won't win, you can't take them. They are free. The air thickened, trembling with energy, and a brilliant light burst forth, flooding the space. Every child that had once filled Willow Creek High with laughter echoed through the shadows like a symphony of hope. The twisted figure of Michael surged forth, even more sinister now, his face contorted with rage. You think mere words can hold power over me? He screeched. The walls trembled as shadows coiled toward him, reaching out with claws of darkness, tearing at the light. What if they can? Emma challenged, a surge of confidence breaking through as her memories spiraled around them, collecting strength, bridging the gap between life and death. Their warmth ignited the shadows, causing them to flicker. Remember who you are. Fight. Amid the swirling chaos, Sophie's voice broke through. Emma, I remember I am not afraid. Her form shimmered brightly, gaining substance as she stepped closer to Emma. Let me be free with them. No! Michael bellowed, his rage directing a new pulse of shadows. They are bound to me. Then we break those bonds. Emma shouted, facing the dark sorrow head-on. We face our pain, we face our fears, and we stand together. One by one, figures emerged from the dark, shapes of children claiming their space. With renewed conviction, they stood beside Emma, their voices merging powerfully. Help us! The shadows writhed violently, shrieking in agony. You won't succeed! But as the children united in a fierce kind of joy, the room began to splinter, the very air vibrating with strength. So long as our memories linger, you can never win! Emma proclaimed triumphantly, consciousness flooding out to meet the darkness. You will not trap us any longer! Shred by shred, the chains binding their spirits began to dissolve. Light exploded against the suffocating dark, each flicker bringing clarity and healing. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the chains loosen. Be free! She cried out, sincerity floating with her words. You are worthy of light! With a final scream of raw power, the shadows shattered, their howls echoing like whispers of betrayal whisked away by the wind. A resounding wave cascaded through the room, and one by one, the spirits glided away, their forms transforming into brilliant bursts of energy that soared upward. Thank you? Echoed their voices, a symphony of acceptance brimming with gratitude. Forgive us! Sophie stepped forward one last time, her radiant form shimmering like a beacon. You have freed us, she whispered, and somehow, Emma felt a combination of loss and relief wash over her. The oppressive darkness lifted, the shadows dissipated like fog before sunlight. But amidst the fading chaos, a lonely figure remained Michael. Seething with rage, his power waning beneath the brilliance filling the air. You think this is over? His voice hissed, a distant echo like a dying breath. Maybe just for now, Emma said, her voice thick with resolve. But we will never let you haunt these halls again. In a final burst of energy, the remaining bonds snapped, and Michael vanished amidst the fading shadows. And the lights of Willow Creek High flickered to life, illuminating every corner, every forgotten place once consumed by dread. As the lights brightened, Emma, Luca, and the once trapped souls stood together in the new dawn, warm and alive. Did we really do it? Luca whispered, glancing around. We did, Emma replied, her heart swelling with relief and sorrow. They are free. In that moment, they understood the truth: as long as there was love and memory, the darkness would never truly win. Together, they stepped into the light, feeling freedom cradle them in its arms, leaving Willow Creek's haunted past behind. Hand in hand, they left the classroom, the whispers of change resounding and the promise of new beginnings lingering like an echo in the air. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to support the channel through these actions. Only true fans understand their importance.